You know, I really believe in life you're either growing or you're dying. It's part of nature, it's part of the human experience. And too many of us start to get stagnant and we wonder why we're not happier. I really believe one of the pathways to true happiness, to true fulfillment, is to always be growing, always be evolving, always chasing the ultimate version of ourselves. That process should be happening on an hourly and daily basis. You know, as I've said, your body has 37 trillion cells. In fact, you have 810,000 cells every second that are replacing themselves in your body. Just get your head around that for a second. Meaning something's dying and a new replacement is happening in your body. You're growing and changing all the time. Even though we don't feel it, we are growing constantly and replacing ourselves on a regular basis. That same thing should be happening in all the other areas of our life, not just on a cellular level, but on every level in our life. Every part of your body is replacing itself all the time, and this needs to be happening in our minds as well. The more we understand the requirement to grow in our lives, the pathway to happiness is growth. So really what that means is every 10 years, you're literally a completely different person. What I believe is that every year, there ought to be a different version of you. Well, my son was very young. We were at a car wash when he was 6 years old, and there was a man there, an older man, that I had seen there about every single Sunday when I would take little Max to this car wash. He was reading his newspaper, and I'd see him, and Max was running around. He said, "How old is your son?" And I said, "He's 6 years old." And he said, "Well, enjoy that 6-year-old, because when he turns 7, the 6-year-old is gone forever." And I remember thinking how true that was. But reflexively, and I didn't mean to say it in a mean way to him, but I said, "Sir, when did that process stop for you?" And he just stared back at me blankly. And I said, "Well, that should be something you should evaluate." And I remember thinking, I don't want that to be me. Because so many of us in our lives, we don't replace ourselves with the next best version all the time. And there becomes an age. For some of us, it's 18 years old, where the 19-year-old's almost exactly like the 18-year-old version. Their life, their results, their wealth, their happiness, their fitness is exactly the same. And this process of growth begins to slow down, and in some cases stops altogether, where we're not replacing ourselves every year. And so the only way we get to that ultimate version of ourselves is by replacing ourselves and growing all the time. This has to become an addiction for you. It has to become an emergency. And every time you don't make it an emergency, it's not a crisis. You're not in a hurry. It's almost like, if I don't do this, I will die. You never get there. You are either growing or you are dying. We need to grow. You need to grow, and it needs to become an intention of yours. It needs to become an obsession of yours. You can't always acquire the things you want, but you are in control of acquiring the next version of you. And that requires being uncomfortable. That requires growth. Just like being in the gym. The only way your arms grow or your chest grow is by intentionally breaking it down and growing it back up again. This is true in our lives as well. You know, sometimes to grow, we may have to take a step or two backwards. It may get uncomfortable. When it's hurting, I'm growing. Well, we know that intuitively when it comes to physical muscles in our body, but it is also true of our identity, of our confidence, of our life. It ought to be hurting a little bit. Don't avoid the pain. Run towards it. And so how do we grow? Let me ask yourself a question. If I went into the gym and I never put myself in any uncomfortable situations in that gym, would I be growing? No. How many uncomfortable situations are you putting yourself in right now? I mean, evaluate the last week of your life. How many really uncomfortable situations are you putting yourself in that challenged you, that grew you to get to that next level of being who you are? Are you under the illusion, and I love you as a friend, that you're going to get these external things you want without growing who you are? You could not be further from the truth. In fact, if you were to acquire those things without growing who you are, you will eventually lose those things because they're not congruent with who you are as a person. So evaluate, number one, the last month of your life. How many uncomfortable situations are you putting yourself in to intentionally grow? See, children are constantly in situations where they're learning new things they didn't know before. And adults begin to avoid these circumstances and challenges, and they grow at a far slower pace. Number 2, what are you listening to? What are you reading? Are you feeding yourself the sustenance, the nutrition you need to grow? What is your nutrition and what are your supplements? These are the books you're reading. These are the things you're listening to on a regular basis that feed you, that help grow you. The third thing is, who are you hanging around? Now, I know you hear about this all the time, but there's such a power to association. You know, you have to have a few friends who make you want to clean up the house before they come over. You have friends whom you want to level up for, friends whom you want to begin to perform at the level they believe in you. Who are you adding to your group of associations that are friends of yours, but simultaneously you want to live up to either who they are or who they believe you are? So you really do need to have somebody in your life who just makes you a little bit uncomfortable. The next thing is this: you must be intentional and specific about the type of growth you want. You show me somebody who goes to the gym and works out to get more fit and healthier compared to somebody who's going to the gym to hit a specific weight loss goal with a specific amount of reps. Those two people will be light years apart in terms of the growth of their body. What are your intentional, specific benchmarks you have with dates to achieve them? Otherwise, it's a wish. This puts your brain into hyperactive growth mode. It puts you into intentional mode. Specificity is the key to growth. And by the way, so is simplicity. The more simple it is, the more easy it is for you to execute. The next piece is you need to create momentum. See, if we've all been ill before, you get ill and it progresses and it gets momentum. You get an infection and it spreads. The worst thing you want is for something negative to get momentum. The best thing you can have moving towards something that's growing is momentum. Momentum is the X factor nobody talks about in growth and in winning. You have to create momentum. Momentum is what I call an invisible force that takes something good and makes it great. Momentum is this force that you cannot calibrate. You can't see it. People's bodies get momentum moving towards fitness. Money can begin to compound with momentum, because momentum is what allows the average to do something extraordinary. Momentum is a magnifier. What I can tell you about my life the last 25 years is I'm a byproduct of growth, and I'm a byproduct of getting what I call life momentum.
Who are you going to be? And if you'll notice, I'm not asking what are you going to do, but who are you going to be? I'm asking you about how you plan to live your life every day.
Keep going. Keep grinding. Because your motto is, and always will be, hard work pays off. It always has, and it always will.
If we want to be successful, we should make a lot of mistakes and never give up. A lot of people, they make mistakes, they have problems, they give up. We never give up.
Anybody can change. You don't have to repeat last year. Clean up the errors. Invest it now in the next year. Watch it make the difference.
I love the sun, but things don't grow because of the sun. You have to have some rain. And you've got to stop looking at rain in your life as something bad. My greatest moments didn't come from my greatest moments. My greatest moments came from my greatest defeats. Because it was during my defeat that I had to find a way to get back up.
The road to success is through commitment and through the strength to drive through that commitment when it gets hard. And it is going to get hard and you're going to want to quit sometimes, but it'll be colored by who you are and more who you want to be.
There's nothing that comes out of quitting besides knowing that you didn't finish. We finish everything. You start it, finish it. If you're going to do it to try and be the best. Not be better than other people, be the best for you.
I need you to open up your ears. Open up your ears. Because the you from the future is telling you thank you. Thank you for not giving up when you wanted to give up. Thank you for not being depressed. Thank you for not allowing the brokenness to eat your progress. Thank you, thank you, thank you.